Okay, so officially, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. That way I covered the entire continent. All right, all in one shot.
Uh-huh.
And welcome to our virtual anniversary spectacular. And it
Okay.
was a very fancy title that we came up with. It took me hours and hours and hours to think of that title. Virtual, obviously, for the reasons that we're doing this virtually. Anniversary because this is our second year since we kicked off the virtual Zoom offerings, virtual
Right.
education, and the virtual concerts and everything we do virtually. And this week is dedicated to you because without you, this wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. And we kicked this off 2 years ago. And I was very nervous when we first started it, thinking, will people actually get on? And lo and behold, hundreds of people have been getting on over the last 2 years. So this is great. So this week we wanted to do something very special. We have, and I'll kind of reiterate some of the other special guests that we have later on this week. But we thought, what would be a great way to kick off the virtual anniversary? We had to have someone really good to do this. That could be a lot of answers, right? But we thought the perfect person to kick off the virtual anniversary is Sweet D Dazzling Dawn here.
Yes. Yes.
Your
I agree
nickname is
with you.
growing. Sweet D Dazzling Dawn, you're going to be rapping pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah.
So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Don, and take it away.
All right. Welcome, everybody. And the only reason I got this time slot is because this is my normal time slot anyway. So thank you, everybody, for being here. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if you would have told me 2 years ago that I would still be Zooming 2 years into it, I would have said, don't think so. I figured 3 months and we'd be done with it. But this has
Yeah.
been the best thing that ever happened to Fletcher Music Centers, honestly, because now we've got friends and customers from all over the world, and it's fabulous. So today I'm supposed to be doing a type of a workshop, but it's also going to be a concert, and I'm just going to apply some of the things that are on your instrument to the songs that I'm going to play today. And I'm going to let you know what I'm going to do, and I'll give you a little bit of demonstration on some of them. And then it's going to be your job to listen to see where I'm using those things to apply them to the music. My very first song is going to be from 1984. I actually have a class that has 1980s book. So this was one I had for a class, and so I'm just playing it for you today. It's called Take On Me from the band Aha, and I'm using a lot of fill. Now today I'm on the fabulous Rialto, and by the way, if anybody's interested, give me a call after the concert. That goes for any of my guests that are here in the studio today as well. So what are we going to actually do with this today? Because I use a lot of fill, I could do it on the touch bar. Whoop, stop. Shh, I haven't told you to do anything yet. Thank you. The kids never listen, do they? All right. You can use pedal magic on a lot of your instruments to put your fill on the long pedals. And that just makes it a lot easier because then you don't have to be worrying about kicking your left foot switch over or your foot switch over to the right to be doing fill. You could do it on the touch bar on the Rialto, but you have pedal magic on some of the other instruments, going as far back as the Easy 10, the Fanfare, the Journey, and the Inspire that do not have the touch bars. Put it on your long pedal. It makes it so much easier. All right, so what else am I going to do? Well, this particular song, because it's from the 80s, is using 80s sounds. Well, where am I getting those crazy sounds from? Well, first of all, you can go into your category presets and look for the modern category and see if it's there. See if you've got some sounds in there that you might want to use for some of your 80s synthesizer songs, because that's what a lot of the 80s songs used, was the synthesizer sounds. The other thing you can do, which I think is a lot more fun, is go over to the hard part of your instrument and touch a sound and just scroll until you get to some of the weird stuff. And that's usually in the X's, extra rain, extra soft, extra sine, and extra synth. and just try them all and see what they sound like. And those were some of the sounds that I actually programmed in to do Take on Me. All right, what else did I do on this? Oh, I actually saved it to a preset. Why? Because I thought it would be easier than me sitting here scrolling in the middle of a concert. So I saved everything to a preset. Once I had, always work left to right, don't forget. So you're going to choose your rhythm, which by the way, I am using country rock rhythm for Take on Me, which is an 80s synth song. And I programmed it into one of your banks. Memorize, A1, with style, with transpose, and then when you turn your memorize button off, it's saved. So now all I have to do is touch A1, and there's my setup all ready to go for the entire song. Let's see, what else did I do? I'm also going to do something over here with the Virtuoso. Now the Virtuoso normally sounds like a harp, doesn't it? But you can change the sound. And I did the same thing. I went in and I scrolled until I found a sound, and it was again in one of those 80s synthesizer sounds under one of the X's, and you put it in. So you get some cool things on the Virtuoso. So listen for where I use all of these features. Here we go. Take on Me from AHA 1984. And if you feel like dancing, please feel free. Go ahead. And of course, at the end, I did the fade out. Now, if your organ doesn't have a fade out button, then of course you have to just put your foot back. Oop, I have to reach far. Have to just put your foot back on the volume control. But if you've got a fade out button, sometimes it's intro and ending 1 and 2, sometimes it's intro plus start stop. Just make sure that you can find where the brackets tell you to fade and push 2 buttons at a time. And that way you just keep on playing and it'll fade out wherever you tell it to. So, did you hear?
Dawn,
Yes.
what's the name of that song again? I missed it. What's the
That's
name
called, it's called Take On Me from 1984. It was by a Norwegian band called Aha. And that riff was actually written years before 1984 by one of the gentlemen in the band. He was 15 years old at the time, and he just
Oh
came
my
up with that
goodness.
crazy little rhythm and just sat on it for a while, and they turned it into a song and became stars,
Oh,
and became famous.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I heard it before, but I never knew what it was. So I have heard it.
Yep, yep. It's fun stuff. But did you
Yes.
hear all the things? Did you hear the 80s sounds? Did you hear the virtuoso changing sounds? Yeah, those are some
I
fun
like the
things.
Virtuoso. I
Yeah,
use that quite a bit.
it's fun.
Too much.
Anybody else have any questions about how anything was used in that song?
But I'd like to know the tempo.
The tempo on that was actually 160. Now, originally, they played it at 169, and I slowed it down.
Oh, well, it still
I
sounded
slowed it
good.
down to 160. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded all right. You could still hear what it was. Yeah.
Dawn, I have a
You can still
question.
recognize it.
Dawn,
Oh, go ahead.
Virtuoso, changing your sound on it.
Uh-huh.
I forgot how you told us to do it.
Now, remember, your virtuoso is an arpeggiator. What does that mean? That means that it plays only the sounds that are in the chord. So if you are in your chord, if you're playing a C chord, your virtuoso is only going to play the notes in a C chord. If you're on an F chord, it only plays the notes in an F chord. So that's what it's doing, is it's arpeggiating the chords. Now, what else does that? The golden harp does the arpeggiating for you, but in the left hand. So if you go to your golden harp and put it on the up and down pattern, it will give you, it arpeggiates up and down. Okay, yes. Now, how do you change the sound? If you go into rate and sounds for your golden harp, it will change the sound for the virtuoso. So right now it says extra solo square. If I touch it, I can change it to anything else I want. Kitty cats. I can change it to whatever I want. I can put an accordion on it.
Oh my goodness.
So you can put whatever sound on it that you want, but it comes from the golden harp genius, or the golden harp sound. Now, some of you have that over here, and then you have to get into it from a screen. Some of you have it right here on your instrument.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have, so you have to find where it is. And it is the golden harp genius or sound that goes into your virtuoso.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
golden-
You're
Can I
Oh, yeah,
ask a
thank you.
question?
Yes, go ahead.
Will there be a download for all the sounds that you've used?
Um,
There'll be a sheet up on Patreon that all the different synth sounds that you've used.
actually, no, I didn't actually put that on the sheet. I can put them all on there and then rescan it over to Robert so he can put it on Patreon so you can see what I used.
Thanks.
Yeah, but have fun going through your sounds, and if you go to the ones that would start with an X, extra scary, extra synth, they're all so much fun. Extra synth meow, extra
New
synth
Age.
echo, extra solo. These are all the synthesized sounds that are so good for 1980s sounds. Yep. You guys in the studio audience have any questions?
Dawn,
No, your Legacy does not have a Virtuoso, but your Legacy does have some of those extra sounds, and you just have to go into your More section, your Geniuses, and scroll until you find your extra sounds, because they are there. Go ahead, somebody else in Zoom land.
Yes, Dawn, when you say fade out, did you say you had to touch both intro and stop? Because I tried that on my fanfare. I tried pressing both and automatically it stopped everything.
Okay, well, okay, that means you're pressing one too soon. You have to hit them at the same time. If you do not, if you hit the start stop right away at a little bit ahead of the intro, it's going to stop it. If you hit the intro one a little bit ahead of start stop, then your intro is going to go on. You have to make sure that you hit them right at the same time in order for that fade to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
just
Okay, thanks.
be accurate on that. Yeah, it's easy to make a mistake on that. Good questions. Anybody else have a question? Nope. Okay, then we'll move on to the next song. Okay, my next song is by a gentleman by the name of Jim Croce, and he died far too early in a plane crash. And I am going to be working on the waltz, and I'm going to put it on Bojangles Waltz. The Bojangles Waltz at 116 beats per minute. And I'm actually putting the balance. Now, this is one of the instruments that has balance. They all don't. So if you've got a balance, yeah, give yourself a hand, because that's going to make things a little bit easier for you. I'm going to give it a little more bass. Why? Because I happen to like my songs. I played in a rock and roll band for a while, and I just like my songs to have a little bit of a heavier bottom end so that the treble isn't so loud. Now, on the other hand, if you think you're getting too much boom boom and you don't want all that bass, you can adjust that balance to give you more melody. And all you have to do is just touch it a couple of times and play until it adjusts exactly where you need it. So I did use that for Time in a Bottle. I am also going to show you, let's see, which one do I want to be on here? I want to be on Vintage Zero. Vintage Zero. And I'm going to take the Orchestra Plus off, and I'm going to tell you why. This is what it sounds like with no Orchestra Plus, just your basic or Genius. It's nice and simplified. Then halfway through the song, I am going to use Golden Harp. Oh, Golden Harp. Why? But I don't want to use that up and down pattern. I'm going to use what they call a guitar pattern. And it's going to sound like somebody is strumming a guitar while I'm playing. And if I put that on, it sounds like this. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. Now that's almost like what your Orchestra Plus does, but it's just a little bit louder. That's the Orchestra Plus. And then with your Golden Harp, it just gives you more of that strumming guitar. Now you could also put, and it changed the sound. It does not have a harp sound. It has that guitar sound, the guitar sound. So you had to change that by going in and scrolling to whatever it is that you want. So here we go. Time in a Bottle.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Me. Hi. I'm wondering what book you're using, or
I pulled them all from all kinds of books. I'm not sure if Time in a Bottle is in the 70s book or if it's in a different book. I can find out for you.
oh, okay. Well, I'll just write them down then.
Yeah, and if I don't know what book it's in, you can always ask Robert or ask me. You can always email me at 5028@fletchermusic.com, and I'm more than happy to look for you and give you all the answers you need.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, here we go. Time in a Bottle. This is in a minor key. So what you want to do is start your intro with the minor key. This happens to be in the key of D minor, and it really gives you a different type of a beginning. Oops, I'm going to take the Golden Harp off to start. and the golden harp. Do the second verse. Now I'm going to add an altar style. Now I'm going to add a different preset, one button push. Add the altar style.
Dawn,
Yes.
Dawn, I have a question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned something about a preset, but you didn't say which one you pushed. I know there's
Okay,
10 of them.
I did normal or vintage 0, and then when I pushed a preset, I pushed number 9, which gave me the mandolin. So it gave me a little
Oh,
different
mandolin.
sound.
Yeah. Is
Yep.
that what on the Prestige on the
Yes,
Prestige Plus, is it
yes, it'll
still
be
the
there.
mandolin
Yep, it should be
sound?
number 9. It should be a mandolin.
Okay, then I didn't try that one yet.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you're hearing some things that you might want to try, because that's
Yeah,
what this is
thank
about.
you.
Yeah, that's what this is about. It's to learn what your instrument can do and how to apply it to a song. Okay, the next song I'm going to do, my dad's on today. Ooh, you got to say good stuff. My dad's on. And this was one of his favorite songs, and it's called If, and it's by the band Bread. And again, it's going to be using some of the 70s synthesizer sounds, and I did program this one because I'm using several different features. You're going to hear the drum variation. It's not just an alter style, but all it's doing is switching the drummer to do something completely different. Okay, first of all, I want to see where I am and where my second drummer is. I can't find him here. Oh, oh, there it is. I don't get this organ very often. Okay. Okay. The drum variation is just going to sound like this. So it's going to be a subtle change, but you will hear it. You most definitely will hear the drum variation. I'm also going to do a fade out at the end of the song, and I am going to be doing some harmonies. So you're going to hear the flute have it's going to be a solo flute, and then it's going to be a duet flute. So you will hear several things on your harmonies. So listen for those. And here we go with a beautiful song called If, and I'm using the synthesizer sounds at the beginning to get your beautiful sounds on the intro. Fade out. Okay. Now something else that I did. You probably saw, I don't know if you can see the lights going here. I guess not because there's not enough light in here. But I used 5 different presets and I did not touch a button. So how did I do that? How did I move my presets? You guys know how to do this.
Foot pedal.
With a foot pedal, absolutely. I did with the foot switch. So I set up on this one, it happens to be custom number 2. On some of your instruments, it's custom number 3. Some of you can go right into your feature and find where it says next setup. And you can put it on your foot switches so that you can get, just with a kick of a foot, you can go from one to the next so that your hands can stay right here. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to say, we think you're marvelous, so your father knows.
Beverly, I'll pay you your $20 when you come to class. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
Dawn, what rhythm was that you were using?
Pardon?
What rhythm were you using?
That one I was using Soft and Easy Guitars, which came up on the Rialto as gospel guitars, but it's the same rhythm. If you don't have that, you can always go to Easy for Guitars for 4 under your guitarist rhythm. That also sounds really good. But this was Soft and Easy or gospel guitars.
And the speed?
And the tempo is 84.
Thank you.
Don,
Yes.
what were you using on Time of the Bottle?
What was I using where?
Rhythm on Time of the Bottle.
Oh, Time in a Bottle, I was using the Bojangles Waltz. 3/4 time Bojangles. Okay, very good. All right, let's move on to the next song. The next song is an oldie. It's not that old, actually. I think this one is from the 60s. It's called The Shadow of Your Smile, from a movie called The Sandpiper. I believe this had Miss Violet Eyes in it. And I never saw it. I wish I would have. This is a song where you kind of got to figure out what the best introduction is going to be. Because what do I always tell you? 99 times out of 100, it's the last chord in the song. Well, the last chord in the song happens to be a G. Okay, so, and the first chord of the song happens to be an F sharp minor. Actually, it's a no chord. So, what the heck? Those are not related at all. But we are going to take a look at the G, and then we're also going to go to the relative minor, which happens to be the E minor, and you do happen to see that. It shows up in the first page. And we're going to try them both, and then you can decide which one is the best. Because if they're relatives, you can use either one and pick the one that sounds the best to you. Well, what do I mean by relatives? The key of G, which you don't have to memorize this or even know it, only if you go on Jeopardy, now you'll know the answers. The scale of G is the do re mi scale. What am I doing on that? Oh, I should probably get on my background that I'm going to play. I'm going to use for Shadow of Your Smile Trios Romanticos. And we are going to go at a tempo of anywhere between 89 and 90, right in that neighborhood. And we are going to use Vintage 0, which is a Spanish guitar. We're also going to use number 8, which is piano strings. And we're going to go to categories. Because once you get sick of these sounds or you can't find what you like, you can always go to your categories. This is good for you guys as well because you have them. So you go to category select, and I happen to be picking Latin. Now, you don't have to pick Latin just because you're on a Latin background. You could use country, or you could use modern, or you could use whatever you want. And I'm just going to keep it there so that I can do a one-button touch to switch. You can either have it on a normal or a vintage or a category preset. You cannot have both. So once I touch one, the other one is going to go off on me. So first of all, let's go back to now our intros. There's a G scale. The E minor scale happens to be the same scale, starting at a different note. Aha, that's why they're sisters. They're relative majors and minors. So we're going to try starting with a G, because 99 times out of 100 it's the last chord. And I'll just play a few of the notes so you can kind of hear how it's going to sound. Here we go. Did it sound okay? Actually, it did sound okay, because that is the correct scale. Now, let's try it on the relative minor and see if it sets the mood a little bit differently. I think this one sounds better. Oh. I'm going to go to normal or vintage number 8. Now I'm going to touch the categories and just leave it on 8. One button push. Now I'm going to go to Latin 1. Now I'm going to go back to vintage 8. Back to vintage 0. Nice. Trios románticos.
Dawn,
Yay.
I have a
Yeah.
question on that. I
Okay.
remember you saying that in the beginning, there was no chords.
Uh-huh.
So how could you do that intro? And
Uh-huh.
it sounded like you did have some chords in there after the intro.
Yep. You can do that, and then you can hit the no chord. Now, if you hit the right intro, the no chord is optional. You don't have to hit that no chord, but when you're playing that, you could do your E minor chord. Oh, it got off my Latin here. Okay. But if I do my E minor chord, I can let it go. See, and then you can hit that no chord to play that first measure.
Oh,
Or
okay.
not. Yeah.
Okay.
So, because what that intro does is it sets the mood. It sets the mood for you. So I just wrote myself a little note. Intro E minor. Intro equals E minor. So that way you know for sure. This is one of those kind of oddball songs that you really can't tell just by looking at it. So you have to go to the last chord and then say, well, it doesn't sound right as a major chord. What's the relative minor? Well, here's a trick for you. What's the second note that you play an easy play for an E minor? E and G. So G is the relative major of E minor. That works for every single one of your chords. D minor.
So E and G, that's what D minor chord is, E and G.
Correct.
With the minor chord, you got to play both.
Yes, but that G chord is the relative major, and that's the second note that you play in that chord. So for example, if you have relative major and minor, a D minor, what would the relative major be?
F?
D and F. Yeah.
F.
Yeah, it shares the same. It shares the same scale. Now, though, sometimes you'll have a song that starts in the relative minor and ends in the relative major. And in that case, you get a choice. You get to choose which chord you want to use for the introduction. And I think it depends on the background too. I always like to start with that minor chord to set the mood, because it really does set that mood, that exotic feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if you set up the Latin for your in the beginning there, set Latin, that would be the one to use throughout the whole song.
Yeah, I like this song on Latin. It does not have to be on Latin. You can use other rhythms on it. You can go to Strings 101. It's going to sound fabulous. So don't feel like it has to be in Latin, but I liked it on trios.
I like the Latin myself.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I played everything on Latin. Then I played everything Hawaiian.
Why not? We all do that. We all do that. Anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Let's see what else we got. All right. So now I'm going to go back to the 70s, and I'm doing a song by not a real well-known band. The name of the band was Firefall. But I think when you hear the song, you're going to say, oh, I heard that song on the radio a million times. And I'm going to go to, on these E organs, come on, doesn't like me today. Of course not. Does not like me today. There we go. Basic, folk, which on the A organs would be contempo, no variation. So on you guys, on the SU and the SEs and the A's, it's contempo, no variation, folk style. It's perfect for a lot of your 60s and 70s songs, and I'm going to use that here. I am also, let's see, speed, 120. That's about right. On these E instruments, you actually have two different rhythm presets, a vintage and a style setup. Well, what's the difference? The vintage is the same as the normal setups that the A and SU organs have, like the Sterlings and the Patriots and the Symphonies. That would be all your vintage sounds. Now, if you came up to like Marquise and Grand Marquise on the E line, the style setup has all your style setups as the same as a fanfare or an Inspire or a Journey. Okay, so you've actually got the best of both worlds here. Now what's neat is that with all these different setups, I can do one button pushes just back and forth between a style setup and a vintage. Or if you've got the style, a normal and an organ, you could do the same thing. You could touch an organ, just do a one button push and get a whole new sound for that rhythm. And so sometimes you don't need to have anything pre-programmed. You can just do a one button push and go, yeah, that works. That works. So we're going to do a couple of different things with style setup and going back and forth to vintage. I'm going to start with style setup 8, which is a flute duet, and the harmony button, I want to make sure it's off to start, but then when I put it back on, this entire screen comes up in the window. And the screen says things like octave, octave duet, open AOC 4-part, country. Well, I'm going to be just touching the screen to change some of my harmonies in mid-song. And again, it's just a one-finger push. Let's hope it does work with my finger this time. Sometimes it doesn't work. So right now I'm going to turn my harmony off, and we're going to play You Are the Woman by a little-known band by the name of Firefall. Octave duet. Solo. Duet. Number 8. Okay. Any questions?
What style did you use? What music style?
That was the contempo, no variation, or on the AE instruments, it's basic folk, and that's found underneath your rock and roll. You go under rock, and it's one of your basic folk.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Fun stuff. Yeah. Okay. How am I doing here on time? Oh, we're doing good on time. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. Now, there's one thing I haven't even talked about, and this is the reason that most of you purchased your instruments, and it's a thing that says song setup. Song setup is probably the easiest thing in the world. And song setup, I'm going to go to keypad, and I'm going to go to the M's because I don't feel like scrolling through 1,000 songs. And I'm going to touch song setup, and I'm going to scroll through the M's to Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Lonely. There it is, Mr. Lucky. Mr. Lucky. And I'm just going to play it exactly the way it comes up. I don't have to do anything else except play the song.
Don,
I did one extra thing. Yeah,
what was the name of that song?
that's called Mr. Lucky.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
Mr.
said
Lucky.
you saved the easy one for last.
No. Song setup, yeah. Song setup,
Yeah.
all you got to do is find your song. Now, the only thing I did different right before I played it the second time was I hit my transpose button, up one, so that the second verse was up half a step. And that's just another tool to put in your arranging toolbox because it's a one button push and it's easy.
I don't know what I'm doing when I push it, but I do push transpose a lot, but I
Yeah,
never
no.
knew what it did.
Yeah, what the transpose does is it just raises the entire organ up half a pitch at a time. So if I'm playing a chord and I hit the transpose, did you hear it go up? The whole organ
Yeah.
went up. Hit it
Yeah.
again. See?
Yeah.
And you just keep playing exactly the way it's written on the page, and it just creates a little bit of excitement to be lifting to the next key every time you play it. If you didn't have that button, you'd have to learn all your scales. Yuck. You don't have to do any of that. Yeah.
I like the song setup because I play Small World, and that's the only way you can get there because it's toys.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going to get the toys of song setup.
Sometimes that's just the best way to find things is to go to your song setup. Now, sometimes you're not going to like song setup, so then it's okay to go ahead and change it. Because Shadow of Your Smile actually came up song setup, and it was way too fast for my taste. I did not like it at all, so I chose a different Latin background and slowed it down. Yeah.
So did you do that? Did you do that on vintage, Mr. Lucky? Did you push vintage?
No, I didn't push anything. See,
Nothing,
that's the thing. Now, when you go into song setup, it does it for you. You go to song setup and you touch Mr. Lucky and everything is done for you. It's choosing style setup is not on, vintage is not on because it's chosen two sounds. Now, this is the same on every single instrument. It's choosing the sound on the top and it's choosing the sound on the bottom for you.
Right.
So if you do decide you want to venture further and play more sounds, make sure that the next button you push is either vintage or style setup so that now you get the perfect presets for the rhythm, not necessarily the song, but for the rhythm. If you do not, you're going to end up with a general setup, and those are not always the ones that you want. You know, you might get Avon calling in the middle of your song if you, yeah. So you always want to make sure that if you want to venture past the two sounds that song setup gives you, make sure you touch either vintage or normal or style setup so that it does now give you fabulous sounds for whatever rhythm you've chosen.
What book is in, Dawn?
I don't have that in a book. As a matter of fact, it's been sitting in my, it's a Wikipedia song from a long time ago. Yep.
Really was pretty.
That's a pretty song.
I like that.
Yeah, that's
be a fun
pretty
show.
one. Yeah. Okay, I have one more song. So Robert, if you would like to make a few announcements, please feel free.
Okie dokie. That'll give you a chance to get it set up. So I took lots of notes. I hope you did too. Yeah, so I know some people are taking notes, and if you didn't take notes, there's two ways to kind of get some additional assistance. The first way is if you're near one of our local stores, contact your personal assistant and set up a time and go into the store. They're going to be provided with some of Dawn's notes after today, and they can help you because, you know, I'm looking on the screen here and I see people that have a Rialto, I see people that have an Inspire, Marquee, Journey. We got a bunch of different models represented, and to cater it specifically to your model, it'd be great to go into the store if you can and set up a time with a personal assistant and go over some of these setups, and they'll be provided Dawn's notes. Now, if you can't go into the local store and you'd like to have Dawn's notes, next week, I'm going to have all of the virtual spectacular events this week are being recorded, obviously. and they're going to be posted on our Patreon. Now, Patreon, a lot of you are familiar with it, but if you're not, it's basically a site that we use to post all of our recorded classes and bonus content. So with that said, here's an example. Now, I'm not logged in right now, so if you go to it's patreon.com/Fletcher Music Centers, and if you just go on and you're not logged in, you'll see that some of the content is for Patreon members only, like this one here that Dawn put. Oh, look at Dennis Awe. So now some of you know that Dennis Awe was recently at our Florida stores and Arizona locations, and I recorded almost all of the events from top to bottom. What I'm doing is I'm putting bits and pieces of each of the events, the songs and the education, on our Patreon. So it's not going to be all at once, but throughout the month of April, you'll see them gradually. So this was his second number that he did on the second day. The first opening number, he was at a different location. I posted that one as well. Now this one is available. Now you'll see that these are unlocked. Now how do I unlock it? You become a Patreon member. And then what happens is I'm going to log in, and you'll see here, oh, don't look at my password. It's blocked.
I already wrote it down.
It's if you write down a bunch of dots, you have my password. What happens is once you log in, now watch this. Ooh, got to log in here. Log in. Did I log in? Oh, I logged in with the wrong one. That's why.
Oh.
What'll happen is once you are logged in, every one of these will become unlocked. I logged in with my wrong account. See?
Aha.
Here, yes. So I'll log out of that one and do the right one. Log in with, continue with Google. That's what it is. Don't look at my password. Close your eyes, everybody. There it is. See, now I can see everything. Ooh, oh. Joni, I caught you laughing at one of your videos, and then et cetera, et cetera. Oh, see, there's the first one that he did. So that's what's great about that. All right, now, last but not least, online, as you know, the rest of the week we are featuring, we have special guest Marco Mendez at the end of the week. Dazzling Dawn was today. Tomorrow, we have Sean Maloney and Robert Roman. And there's at 11 a.m. Arizona time or 2 p.m. Eastern. Sean Maloney, for you Tucson students, if you're on right now, he is driving all the way down from Mesa to do this event with me right here in the store. So we are inviting our students locally to participate. So we'll have an actual live studio audience here while we're broadcasting live to the world. And that's happening tomorrow. And then, of course, we have Andrew and Miranda. I'll announce them again tomorrow on Wednesday. And then finally, we're going to close off the event this week with Marco Mendez. And last but not least, in the email that I sent out today, at the bottom, it wasn't on this one here, but at the bottom of the email, there was a letter that I sent out thanking everyone again for your participation and your patronage and all the organs you bought in the last 2 years. And you don't have to stop there. I know some people are saying, is it okay if I get another organ? Yes, it is perfectly okay. You have my blessing. And and there's great ways, because we want to continue doing this for years and improve on it and make it better and better and better. And the best way we could say thank you is giving you some great opportunities. So I'm going to tell you this. We have certain models. We don't have a lot of Rialtos. I noticed there's like one Rialto in Florida. Boy, it'd be nice if we had a few more. If you have a Rialto, we'll give you some extra trade credits for it. If you're looking at the Rialto that Don is sitting at, we'll do a very special opportunity on that. So depending on your instrument, we're giving extra trade credits. And during this virtual anniversary spectacular week, we have some very, very nice incentives that I pass along to the staff members. So reach out to your staff member and find out and say, tell me more about what's going on. I like to continually assist and support Fletcher Music Centers. With that said, Dawn has one final number. It also happens to be part of your class today, so take it away, Dawn. And now, one other thing. When we're done here, I noticed not many people unmuted and applauded. So since this is your last number, when you're done, you have to, because I could see you all doing the hand clapping, but it's silent. So make some noise afterwards, okay? Take it away, Dawn.
All right. Thank you, Robert. All right. My last number is going to be Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from a really fun movie. I haven't seen it in a while, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And it's sung by B.J. Thomas. And it's in your song setup. Well, this is one that I decided I'm not going to use song setup. I'm going to use my own setups on this. So I actually took it to Tap Soft Shoe and I recorded the presets in my B bank. Okay, and so you're going to, again, not see it because I'm going to be moving them with my foot, but you will hear when things change because I am going to be building the arrangement. If you come to my classes often, you always hear how I'm building an arrangement, using the tools in your toolbox to build an arrangement. Add harmony, add strings, add alter style. These are some of the things that I'm going to be doing. Now I'm doing one specific thing in this that we don't do very often at all, and at the end of the song I'm going to put in the trumpet solo, but what happens is Bacharach and David, they decided to change the rhythm and the meter at the end of the song. Well, it's kind of hard to do that unless you've got presets saved. So I'm starting out in Tap Soft Shoe at 110, and I'm ending up, believe it or not, in Country Polka at 170. Ooh, wow. Yeah, quite a difference, and you'll hear how I do that when I get to the end. So listen for that, and that's just a little bit more of an advanced feature that you can do, but it's not hard. Once you figure it out, you go, ugh, why can't I do that? You can. All right, so we're going to do Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and here we go.
Extremely good, Dawn.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Real pretty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can't do it without you, so we appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming today. If you have any questions, contact Robert, contact myself, contact your personal assistant at your nearest location, and we're more than happy to help you with all of this stuff, because it is lots of good stuff.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn.
for
Thank you,
playing
Dawn.
for us.
Thank you, Dawn. It was great.
Enjoyed
See you Wednesday.
it.
Bye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
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 Bye, Susan.
Tune